What's up, guys? So today is 11/11/19 and it's 1 year for Rob Greenfield of growing and foraging 100% of his food, and I'm bringing you guys an update video. Hold tight. Oh, we got a little cheers going on here.
Here we are.
Now, you didn't even forage this.
Nope, today is the first day after my year of growing and foraging 100% of my food, and this is my first food that I didn't grow or forage.
Is it that time?
It's that time. Oh wow, I didn't realize what was just about to happen. I'm actually about to actually do this.
All right, are we ready?
It feels weird, yeah.
Before I wouldn't drink his coconuts, now I will.
Holy cow.
That's a really good nut.
One of the best ones I've ever had.
That was really sweet.
Now, the nice thing about this is I'm starting off with something that I've been eating coconuts all year, and a friend harvested this for me from their place. So it's not like I'm stepping outside the box much, but little, you know,
little bit.
Baby steps.
You didn't climb the tree for this one.
Wow.
All right, that was delicious.
Hey everybody, Rob Greenfield here. If you're on Pete's channel, you probably already know me. You've probably already been following our cooking videos and all the times Pete's taken you into my garden. And Pete's back here today because it's a special day. I did it. 365 days of growing and foraging 100% of my food. And today is day 366. It's the day after. And Pete and I just enjoyed coconuts that somebody gave me yesterday at my volunteer day. So this right here, I mean, the most common question I've gotten over the last months is, what's the first thing you're gonna eat that you don't grow and forage? And this is it. Honestly, after this immersive experience, I have no desire to dive right back into packaged processed foods or things shipped long distances. And it's given me extreme anxiety thinking about having food on my plate or in my bowl and not really knowing what's there. I mean, imagine the last year I've known where every ingredient that I've put into my body has come from. I've not just known where it's come from, I've picked it with my hands. I've either grown it and watched it for months or gone out into nature and actually been there and harvested it. So that big question of what's the first thing is giving me anxiety because I don't want to look into my bowl and not really know where the food comes from or the impact that it has. So it was a blessing. I had a volunteer day yesterday and someone brought me these coconuts, and it just let this sigh of relief because I could say, okay, that's going to be my first thing. It's not something I'm unfamiliar with because I've been eating coconuts all year long. It's been one of my staples, but I didn't have to forage it myself. So it's pretty special, and special to get to share it with Pete. Honestly, you know, Pete and I first met, we were just talking maybe 3 months into the year-ish, and I can't imagine this year without Pete coming here, going to his house and fishing, taking a little refuge from the city, and going foraging together, and him bringing me plants that I put into my garden that resulted in, dinners, like the eggplants that he brought over and the different perennial spinaches and the roselle that kept my landlady happy. So it's been a really special time having Pete here. I don't know what this project would have been like without him and without all of you. It's been really great. So basically the idea of this project was, I've been immersed in food for about a decade. I woke up to the state of our current food system in 2011, early 2011, and I just, my mind was blown open. I realized that almost everything that I was eating was causing destruction to the world that I love, to other people, to all the species that we share the earth with, and the earth as a whole. And I just realized all the food I was eating was being shipped long distances, burning fossil fuels, guzzling fossil fuels, and was leaving behind trash. Everything was wrapped in plastic, and I just realized just living, just my very existence was destroying the world. And so over the last 9 years, I've been on this journey of food discovery. I changed my diet 8 years ago, And over the whole thing, I've always had this burning question: is it possible to step completely away from big ag, even big organic, and grow and forage all of your food? You know, be independent of that system. And so that's what I set out to do with this project. That's what you've been following along with, and I'm here. It's been a year, and it feels a little weird to be saying this. This is one of my first times vocalizing it. But it was a successful year. I made it, and I didn't just survive. I would say I thrived. I had my ups and downs. This summer was really difficult. But today, being November 11th, 2019, when I started this project, I weighed 153 pounds. I weighed myself this morning, I weighed 152.4 pounds. So I'm weighing pretty much the exact same as when I started. I did a body fat test when I was up at University of Wisconsin La Crosse speaking there. They just happened to bring it up, and I said I would love that. So I did that, and I had a body fat of 15%, so plenty of fat on me. So I got the calories I needed, and then I haven't done blood work, but I'm going to. But I can tell you that physically I feel better now than when I started. I'm happier, and emotionally I'm also healthier. I'm in a more stable place, a more centered, balanced place than when I started. So it's safe to say that I'm better off today than when I started. And to me, that was partially just trusting nature, trusting that the earth can provide, and it did. So over this year, I grew 100 different foods in my garden. So that means, learning 100 different plants, because remember when I started this year, I had never grown almost anything in my life. I had a few small raised beds back in San Diego. So I had grown some greens, some herbs, some tomatoes. Basically, that's about it. So almost every one of these 100 plants that I grew was my first time learning the miracle that is food. I remember putting seeds in the ground at the beginning of this nearly 2 years ago when I started this, and just seeing that these seeds turned into a bounty of food. I planted Seminole pumpkin seeds. A friend, Terry Meir at Sustainable Kashi, gave me 2 pumpkins. Well, no, we actually ate the pumpkins together, and I took the seeds home. And those 2 pumpkins turned into 169 pumpkins. And I ate those pumpkins for the whole year. And they stored all summer long in my tiny house, and that for me was like the power of the seed, that I realized that, one handful of seeds can actually change a community. And literally a bag, if you get a pound of kale seeds, that's enough for everybody in this city to have kale from one bag. And imagine the difference of that versus 250,000 people getting kale shipped from California or from around the United States and around the world. So I grew over 100 different foods and actually foraged over 200 different species of foods. Dozens of species of mushrooms, greens, herbs, and spices, fish. When I was in Wisconsin, I harvested some roadkill deer. That was one of my main sources of protein, the deer and then the fish. So over 200 species of food from nature and 100 from my garden. So that's over 300 species, which is basically almost a new species every day of the entire year. So talk about diversity. I mean, that's some serious diversity. So yeah, I'm feeling my chest, my body, and I'm like, I'm here, because when I set out, I didn't know if it was possible. I've never met somebody that's done this. I know I'm not the only person that's done it. I know that for much of humanity, everybody did it. For most of humanity, everybody did it. But we're not in most of humanity. We're in 2019 in a globalized, industrialized food system that has reached almost every single corner of this earth and has destroyed communities, human and other species communities on every corner of this earth. That's the situation we're in now. So the question was, could I do it today in the United States, in this Western society? And I did. But I want to say I couldn't have done it without community. The foragers, I learned from a lot of foragers like Green Dean, Andy Firk here in Florida. Everywhere I traveled to, I met local foragers. Here, Orlando Permaculture was one of the big groups that really I got my plant cuttings from and learned from. Pete, you know, just an incredible amount of knowledge from him. Josh Jameson down at Hart. Maribou Thomas, got to meet him and spend time with him. He taught me how to make flour from my yam and my yucca, which is what I brought on my trip to Wisconsin, which was a savior. Making breads with that was a savior. And then all of my gardens were grown in people's front yards, so I turned people's front yards into gardens. So, you know, Sarah Robinson, she was my host for the first 4 months, and that's where I started my garden that you've all been to. Lisa Ray, where I set up my tiny house in her backyard and converted her front yard to a garden. I mean, the list really, unfortunately, I can't name everyone. I mean, that's fortunate and unfortunate. I can't name everyone who deserves credit for this, being able to do this, but the point is, it might seem like an individual project, me, one guy, sort of alone, growing and foraging all of his food, but really the only reason I can do this is because of the community around me. The fact that, you know, Robert Bowden's book about growing fruits and vegetables in Central Florida, that 25 years of growing food, that's why I was able to grow food. And the local nurseries and Central Florida Fruit Society, the only reason I was able to grow successfully is because of that knowledge, and forage successfully was because of that knowledge that existed. So I can't thank everyone, but on my website at robgreenfield.tv/grow, I list all of those resources, so you can find those things like Green Dean and things like that. But thank you all for everyone who helped me get through this project, and all the volunteers, you know, that came out to my garden. This was very much a community project, and I have not in any way proved that you can do it alone. Not even close. I think I would have failed miserably trying to do this myself. And that's the whole point. We don't have to do this alone. I set out to do this alone in a sense because, well, first of all, I don't think anyone wanted to do this with me. It's very, very challenging. But, you know, I do extreme things. I love to take on these endeavors. It's just my way and my personality. But at the same time, it's my way of grabbing media's attention. You know, we've had literally hundreds of media journalists either here or telling the story from afar all over the world, and getting people to talk about the basic things in life. Where does our food come from? What about our water? How are we treating, you know, our waste? Or in permaculture, waste is just a resource out of place. There's no such thing as waste. You know, right behind me is the banana circle. That's where my waste goes to actually grow bananas. But so the point that I was trying to say is that this is about community. What I hope to see is people that are inspired to take back power from big ag, which is destroying our communities and destroying our health, and create food sovereignty in our communities. So we don't all have to grow and forage our own food, but we can work together. So, you know, we can grow some of our own food. If someone's in an apartment, that could be an herb garden on their balcony, or, you know, some tomato pots and peppers and such. Or it could be, if you have a small backyard, it could be a raised bed. Or it could be turning your whole front yard into a garden and producing, you know, one front yard can produce an incredible amount of food. So it could be growing some of your own food. It can be learning the weeds that grow all over. You know, here, for example, we have Biden's alba, but there's you know, plantago, there's purslane, there's dandelion. I've eaten probably 50 plus different wild greens or weeds that are both nutritious and many of them medicinal. So we can learn those. We can work with nature rather than against it. You know, not all of us can physically grow or forage, so we can support local farmers. There's some very good efficiency in people that know what they're doing, growing large amounts of food within the community. And if we do these things, I really believe that we can produce not all of our food, but if we produce just our own fruits and vegetables, that would change our entire society. And it's doable. You know, there's talk about the victory gardens, where back in the day, 40% of our fruits and vegetables I think it's 40% were grown in our yards in the United States. And another important thing is big ag, people think we depend on it, but I read or listened the other day that, you know, the global food system only creates about 30% of our food. Most of our food still comes from people, individuals. So the power really is in our hands, and we just need to take more of that back from those corporations. So it's about questioning our food, learning where it comes from, and if we don't like the answers, changing that by working with our communities to produce food in a way that you know, improves the quality of life around us. And that's really what it's about. So, you know, my hopes is that through this project that you've been inspired to take, you know, one little step at a time to to create food freedom right in your own communities, for yourself, for your families, for your extended families, for our global family. 7 billion of us, we are family. There's no way around it. This is a tiny little ball floating through space, and we are all neighbors, and we're all in this together. So yeah, so thanks again, Pete, for all this, and thank you all. You know, Pete and I, we really wouldn't exist without you. Both of us are storytellers. Both of us love to share this work, and honestly, I know neither of us we wouldn't be doing things the same if it wasn't for all of you being there. So Pete and I, you know, I got a feeling we'll be hanging out for decades to come. I'm off. I'm going to do a year of traveling the world, doing the World Solutions Tour. So I'll be around the United States, I'll be around the world. And the book, Food Freedom, will come out in December 2020, so about a year from now. I'll be doing a speaking tour all over the United States, and 100% of the proceeds are donated to nonprofits. 100% of my proceeds, I should say. The author or the publisher makes money, but it's a great publisher, New Society Publishers, and their thing is all about creating a new society. It's books like what I'm going to be publishing with them. But anyway, 100% of my proceeds are donated to nonprofits creating a more sustainable and just food system. And so you can join me on that. Hope to give you a bunch of you a hug in real life. And the website for that's just robgreenfield.tv/foodfreedombook. I really genuinely feel like it's going to be the most powerful thing that I've ever put out there. I've been writing it, and it feels good. So if you've been enjoying this time with Pete and I, then definitely stay tuned. But Pete and I, we will be making videos together for years to come, wherever it is, whether it's Florida or if I end up doing this year of growing and foraging 100% of my food in a northern climate. I'm sure, Pete, you're going to come up for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of good stuff to come. So yeah, I love you all very much. It's been really great being here. And of course, join me on my YouTube channel, and I'll be continuing to share Pete's stuff as well over the years to come. So that's, I guess, all there is to say for now. But yeah, love you all very much, and it's been great being here with you.
Woo! You made it!
Yeah.
Good job, brother.
Made it!
Woo! All right, guys, you heard Rob. He's not just surviving, he's thriving. He's made it 365 days. He's got an epic book coming out. He's gonna be traveling the world next, all kinds of exciting stuff. If he does this project again in a northern climate, I can promise you I'll be up there to make another video with him. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Check out Rob's channel. Link will be in the description down below. If you haven't subscribed to our channels yet, please go ahead and do so. Most importantly, pound dirt.